Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Hayley.
After meeting online, we became international best friends who bonded over how hard it is to find success in the entertainment industry.
Join us and our celebrity co-authors as they help us write the book on how to make it.
And, more importantly, uncover what making it even means.
Hi, my name is Sona Movsesian, and when I was, this is going to be shocking to anyone who's ever met me, but when I was young, I really wanted to be an astronaut. And the reason,
Yes,
sorry, I know this is so stupid, and I know you asked a very simple question, but when we were in elementary school, they were handing out like these forms, and it's like, find someone who has an older brother, find someone who has a pet cat. And then it's like, find someone who wants to be an astronaut. And no one was filling in that blank because like no one wanted to be an astronaut. So I became the person in the class was like, I'll be the astronaut person. So I'll just sign everybody's sheet that I want to be an astronaut. so that's the first thing I remember saying to people that I wanted to be. But do I actually want to be an astronaut? No, I don't know a fucking thing about science. So no, I think I'd be a terrible astronaut.
That's the best answer we've had.
Sorry.
it's amazing. How long did that last? How long did you draw that out for?
I want to say it was just for the duration of that class assignment. So maybe for that one day. And then after that, I mean, true to form, I don't think I had any ambitions until I was like in college. And then that's when I was like, I think I want to work in TV because TV is the only thing I seem to care about.
That's a really obvious transition from astronaut to TV.
I know. You know what's funny? I'm so sorry, guys. I always do this.
You know, Emily wanted to be a cat when she grew up.
I know. I saw the email. That's so funny. But years ago, before I met my husband, I dated an astrophysicist.
Oh, wow.
And when I dated him, I was like, I can't believe I ever thought I could do this shit. I don't know what this guy's talking about. Like, we have nothing in common. anyway, so that was a very short-lived dream of mine.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Well, we like to start by telling you 3 facts that we found about you on the internet.
Okay.
May or may not be true. So the first one is that you watched 58 episodes of Friends in 4 days.
Yes.
And you were gifted, I believe, these VHS tapes.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So... I swear, this makes me look so bad. So when you guys were cleaning out your soundstage, we were allowed to take whatever we wanted, and I said, "Score."
Those exact VHS tapes. That's the exact VHS tape I was given.
Yes, I got a little
Emily.
This is one of them.
Those are the actual ones.
That's the
when you pulled it out, I just thought you had a prop.
Oh no, I'm not a prop comic. That's
No.
My God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So I saw a crate full of Friends on VHS and I thought, score. This is going to be worth something someday. And lo and behold, we found out that it's not actually Friends on
What is on there?
Like, one was a Neil deGrasse Tyson documentary.
Can I ask how you found out? Who has a VCR?
A PA I was working with. I said, can you take this home and tell me what's on these tapes?
I can't believe you have that.
He came back and he was like, I don't know what these are. So I only kept one. And then I didn't know it was a bit until like 2 weeks ago.
You didn't know what you just saw VHS cassettes and you grabbed them.
I got nostalgic.
Oh my God.
I took the whole crate home. It was in my car for like a year and a half.
Oh my God. I can't believe you. That is unbelievable. I am floored right now. So I watched 58 episodes of Friends at work. I think that they wanted me to fake it, just like,
right.
Hey, this is for the bit. You don't actually have to because you probably have a lot of work. And I was like, I'm taking this very seriously. So I'm going to watch every single episode and see how many I can do. And then Conan on the air gave me these VHS tapes, edibles, and puppies as a like, hey,
I
congrats.
wish I had taken the puppies.
I know, me too. I know.
So yeah, that's our first fact.
Wow. Emily, you just blew my mind. I can't believe you actually have
Feel
this.
free to, if you want it, you can have it. I thought like these are gonna be worth so much someday.
Oh, wow. I
Not
don't know
so
if they
much.
will.
I know.
I don't know.
It was COVID. I was tired.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I noticed you didn't leave the edibles behind.
No, the edibles I took. I know. You are right, Haley. I was like, I could leave the puppies and the VHS tapes, but you know what? This basket, I'm going to take that. I earned it.
Our second fact is that you recently got a shout out from one of the New Kids on the Block members online.
Yes.
Yes.
That's real fresh. That just happened a couple days ago.
Right.
You guys, I don't know if I could verbalize how much this means to me. Okay, I think that when I was young, my very first crush of all time was Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block. You two are you seem a lot younger than me, so I don't think that you.
I'm not.
Even not as much as you think.
Oh, well, but New Kids on the Block was like, I feel like every generation has their boy band.
Yeah.
And mine was New Kids on the Block, and Jordan Knight was like my guy. And I mentioned it on the podcast, and then somebody from their team listens to the podcast, and so they reached out and they were like, "Hey, we'd like to send you some New Kids on the Block merch. Can we have your address?" And I was like, "This is." Of all the emails I've ever received over my time working for Conan, this is the most important one I think I've ever gotten.
Understandably.
And to keep in mind, like, I've spoken with offices of the president. You know what I mean? Like, I've spoken to like dignitaries on Conan's behalf. Like, it's just part of the job. But this New Kids on the Block email meant the most to me. So then I get the merch. And I actually use it, and I loved it, and I took a photo shoot, and I posted it. And you guys, Donnie motherfucking Wahlberg not only commented,
Mad.
he started following me on Instagram.
Oh my God.
I know. The bad boy of the group. You know, I can't.
Just your type.
I can't tell you guys how much, like, I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to, like, not all of my friends, just the few that I know, like New Kids on the Block. And so I've decided if there's ever a time when, like, if I ever meet Cher, I'm just going to stop working.
Okay.
Nothing gets, everything else has been ticked off. So if Cher, if you're out there, if I meet you, you are all I need. You're all I have left.
Cher definitely subscribes to our podcast.
Yeah.
I like to think.
No.
Absolutely.
I think she was the first.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh my God. I love that you brought that up because that's fresh. That's so fresh. That just happened. And I can't tell. Like, I like reverted back to that kid who was like listening to New Kids on a cassette on my Walkman. And I was like, oh my God, girl, you have no idea what's in store for you. Donnie Wahlberg. It's in store.
Madness.
I peaked.
Absolute madness.
I peaked.
Absolutely. Nah, shares to come. Shares to come. Our third fact is that you're a New York Times best-selling author, baby.
Yes.
With your book, The World's Worst Assistant.
Yeah. So, you know, when I wrote my book, I had no idea how books worked. I don't know how the book industry works. I don't know, like, hey, if I sell 1,000 copies, is that a hit? If I sell like 1,000,000 copies, I don't understand how it works. Like, I don't know what a hit is. And so I was at home and we all had COVID. And then my publisher called me and she was like, can you hop on a Zoom? And there was like a bunch of other people there.
Wow.
Like, you are a New York Times bestseller. And I was like, I feel embarrassed because there's so many people out there who are more worthy of it than I am, who like have devoted their lives to the craft of writing. And I wrote essentially, I don't want to call it a cash grab, but I want to say that it was like this thing that I just kind of wanted to do that I wish I had put more time into, but then I was pregnant and had kids. And so it kind of like became sort of something that I just sort of like was like, I just have to finish this book. But it was as soon as I got off the Zoom call, one of my sons just wiped his nose on my arm. And I was like, is this what happens to New York Times bestsellers?
A lot of snot.
But now, anytime I email someone, my signature is Sona New York Times bestseller. So it's definitely like it's up there with me being a national speech champion in college. Like it's something that I just sort of use to brag about myself. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, those are 3 very true, very fun facts about me, you guys. Oh man, I can't.
Okay, so based off of what you said earlier about being a speech champion,
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite parts. That was one of my favorite parts of the book.
Was it?
Yes.
So stupid.
I loved it. Cause it's like, I don't know. I hadn't heard much about like your life before you started working in TV. So I liked like learning about what makes you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's nice. Thank you.
yeah. So I was just wondering like, and also as we've started this podcast, we've been trying to work on our banter because we're used to just chatting, but then all of a sudden there's a microphone and we're like, feel super awkward. So I was wondering what your top tips for public speaking are.
Oh my God. I love that you asked this question. I credit speech for everything because people always like, because I bring it up often and it happened 20 years ago. Like
Oh, wow.
actually 20 years ago. In 2002, 2003 year is when I was competing. And that's when I became a speech champion. And I would say, and people say like, why do you bring that up? And it's funny because like I work for someone now who is incredibly accomplished.
Mhm.
That like speech for me back then was something I did entirely on my own. Like I decided to join. No one told me to join. Well, my speech teacher told me to join, but like I decided to join. I put everything into it. Like I think that I kind of didn't have as much confidence when I first started. And as I went on, I got more and more confident. And so by the time I was done, I was a completely different person.
Right.
So while it's a joke that I did it because it's kind of a nerdy thing, it also just like was a very transformative year for me. But to be a confident public speaker, I always watch these presentations that people do who are like executives in charge and they'll be like and you could tell they're like very coached because their hand gestures are very like mechanical and the way they're speaking, there's like a cadence to it. So I think that letting yourself out as much as you can, like your own personality out is so much more important than like knowing what to do with your hands when you're talking or what to do with your body or how to stand. Like, I just think that like understanding who you are and then allowing that to come out when you're doing public speaking is definitely so much more valuable. Confidence is a big one, and that's a hard one for a lot of people, like to just feel confident about themselves and the things that they're saying. I would say like, there used to be old adages like, oh, think everybody's in their underwear. But then I remember trying to do that. And then I was focusing so much on like what kind of underwear people would be wearing that it kind of distracted me from what I was trying to say. So I think that's just silly. I think that like, I think one thing that helped me a lot, and this is something that helps me a lot when we're doing shows like at the Garage at Sirius, or we recently were in Brooklyn in front of like 2,000 people doing shows, is I think the way I look at it is they're already so impressed that you would go up there because everybody is like so terrified of speaking in front of a big audience. So already you're good. If that makes any sort of sense. It's like, unless you vomit on yourself or unless you say something like horrendous that can like just destroy your career, everyone's going to think you did okay.
Yeah.
Like the bar is set so low for people like me who aren't Conan, who doesn't have like decades of like being in front of people.
Right.
And so that's what I just remind myself every time I go up there. It's like, it's okay to like flub words. It's okay to like, show moments of humanity, and it's okay to just be like just a person when you're talking in front of an audience.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I think that I credit public speaking and speech for a lot of where I am right now, for sure. I love that you asked that question. I can't tell you.
I loved it.
I wish I could like have a seminar on public speaking, but then I realized like I don't know enough about it.
But I don't know, you learn through doing, so you it's better than like watching a YouTube video on it.
I guess you're right. That's true. It's just that like, there's tricks and stuff that you need to know. I mean, I have a friend who taught speech for a really long time, and she just like knows what to do and how to say things. So I just know what works for me. And that's the stuff that works for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to that episode in Brooklyn because you interviewed my celebrity crush, Ben Marshall.
Oh, from Please Don't Destroy? Did you watch the movie? Isn't it so fucking funny?
It's so good. I texted my cousin and I said, you have to watch this. And she was like, really? I don't know. And then she texted me the next day at like 2 p.m. and was like 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Hilarious. And I was swooning the whole time.
It's so funny that that's your celebrity crush. And I don't mean this in a bad way.
Oh, bring it.
But a lot of celebrity crushes are like unattainable. But I feel like you could date him. Like if you just met him, you know what I mean? And
Ben,
I feel like you could easily meet him, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, you have my email. So.
Make it happen, Sona.
No, I don't, we didn't connect on that point where I was like, hey, I have somebody I want to set you up with. But I mean, who knows? Maybe I can do that. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's out in the universe.
Yeah.
So the going back to your public speaking, you have a part in your book where you say you had gotten to a certain point and kind of hit a plateau and you broke down because you realized that you needed to build confidence.
Yes.
And you said there was a moment where you told yourself something that made you then get that confidence and kill it. And you don't have to share specifically what it was.
Good, because I can't remember.
Okay, perfect. But do you know like what you felt after you hit that moment to go? Because I feel like that's where a lot of creatives, they hit that plateau.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, and they don't get that next like second win. So do you know like, or at least like how it feels to you now?
Well, it's funny because confidence is a really difficult thing. I mean, someone can show you that they have confidence, but to actually feel confident about yourself takes a lot of work. I think it's something that's not easy for most people. And it's sad because like it should be, because I think everybody is amazing in their own way. It's just hard for them to see how they're amazing. And so it's hard to get that confidence, especially if you're comparing yourself to other people and especially if you're like, doubting a lot about yourself, which is something everybody does. I can't I remember exactly what you were talking about because it was my coach, who is now a good friend of mine, who was just like constantly breaking me down. And I remember just like crying and being like, what is confidence and why don't I have it? Like, how does it work? And and I wish I had an answer for how like somebody could just like be confident. And if I did, I'd be a billionaire, because I think that's what everybody's looking for. But it's as simple as just sort of like seeing what is really lovely about yourself and just
that's a good way to
accepting it and being happy with it. And then allowing other people to see that you've acknowledged that about yourself. I think that's the simplest way I could say it. And I am happy with who I am. I've been happy with who I am for a while, but it wasn't always the case. And once I got to the point where I was like I'm not a perfect person, but I know that there's qualities about me that I like and I think other people will like, then it helped me with everything, like my career. It just helped me with my career. I was able to say, like, I can ask for this thing because I know I deserve it. And I know that I'm going to mess up, like, just being Conan's assistant. I remember talking to somebody and being like, I want this job. I know I'm not going to be perfect at it. And I wasn't perfect at it and I haven't been perfect at it, but I know that there are other things about me that can compensate for the things that I'm not going to be good at. And once you just sort of know that about yourself and you could like walk into a room and feel good about who you are, it resonates. I think other people really feed off of that. And that's a really valuable commodity. I think of all the things, I'm not a big picture person. I'm not a detail-oriented person. I'm not very good at a lot of things. But if there's one thing I'm good with, it's just like knowing that about myself. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, it does.
Okay.
It totally does. I was talking to someone recently where they said they were with someone who just like stated, I'm so bad with knowing where I am all the time.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, wow, okay. Like, because normally people would be trying to be like, I'm going to try and be different, or I'm not going to own it, or I'm going to be embarrassed. But the woman was just like, oh, don't ask me for directions. I don't know where the we are. And she like really admired that about her. And I was like, isn't that odd?
Yes, it is. It's odd. I think because also we live in an era where people are scared to show how vulnerable they are.
Yeah.
I'm on a WhatsApp group with all the moms from my class, and everybody like kind of texts each other about random things. And ever since school started, my kids have like once school started, like my kids were a mess for a while. And I remember at one point I like messaged the moms. I was like, is anyone else's kid doing whatever, XYZ? And it was the first time I think that any of the moms like showed any sort of vulnerability. And in the WhatsApp group, because also everyone's a stranger.
Right.
But they're the only other people that I know whose kids started school the same time mine did. Yeah. So I was like, is anybody else's kid doing this? Or is anybody else's kid, whatever? And then the floodgates just open. I think the moment someone shows that they have like some sort of vulnerability, other people are like, I also feel this, and you're making it okay for me to talk about it. And that makes people feel so much more comfortable about opening up about certain things, So I think showing vulnerability, showing your weaknesses, showing your flaws, I think those are really valuable, really powerful things to do. And it makes people around you feel so much more at ease,
I agree.
Hey, so in your book, Sona, there's this great analogy about, sorry to take this to a really gross place, but the Human Centipede. And I find myself just using it all the time. I was on a set recently and we were having a really awful time with the director and the production team. And it had really filtered down to the crew. It was just quite a negative space. And they were just talking about it being this ladder. And I was like, no, it's the Human Centipede. And I could just feel your words coming out of my mouth like the shit in the Human Centipede.
Jesus.
And it was just coming out, Sona. And I gave this whole monologue straight out of your book. No. And you know what? Silence just befell. There was just silence. And then they were all just like, yeah, it is. Yeah. So I was just wondering if you could give us a brief retelling of this Human Centipede, because it is so relatable.
Glad. Have you guys watched it?
No.
Yeah. I met the woman who did the prosthetics the other day.
Get out. Haley, that's a huge...
Yeah, she's a makeup artist now.
That's a celeb sighting. I mean, that movie is something. It's a movie. I'm really glad. Here's every once in a while, my kids are 2.5, and every once in a while I'm like, they're going to listen to and read my book one day, and they're going to listen to like things that I talk about. And they're going to come to me and be like, Mom, what's the Human Centipede? And can we watch it? And I'm dreading it. So, okay, for those of you who don't know, the Human Centipede is these two women who are lost stumble upon a doctor's home. And he's clearly a psychopath. And they're like, sure, we'll go inside for a drink. He drugs them. Then when they wake up, they are sewn ass to mouth with another guy. So there's 3 of them. And then one eats, shits into the other person's mouth. That one eats, shits into the other person's mouth. And then that person just shits into the ether. And the idea is this sustainable? Can we live off of just a pure shit diet? And so, like, can these 3 people just like live in this like system that just is like feeding off of itself? So that's what it is. And then I, in my book, compare that to the entertainment industry.
Yes,
but in
you
my
do.
example, the person who's in the very front is the person in charge. So he gets to eat like steak and he gets to eat like, delicious meals and like, I don't know, caviar. And then he shits into the mouth of the people behind him. And then that person eats shit and then shits into the last person. So it's like a hierarchy. And then my whole thing is that there is this system that's existed for a long time in the entertainment industry where the people in charge basically shit into the mouths of the people below them. And then eventually that person goes away and then the person who is second becomes the first person. And then he starts to eat steak and caviar and all this stuff and then shits into the mouths of the people behind him. And the idea was that for a very long time, we were okay with people shitting in our mouths. And then there needs to be a point where someone breaks the centipede and says, hey guys, this system does not work. Shitting in mouths is not okay. It's not okay to eat the shit and it's not okay to shit into somebody else's mouth. And I think that that's slowly happening because when I first graduated college, I remember people were like, well, you clearly have to work at an agency for a year.
Yeah.
Because you need somebody to shit in your mouth. You need to get abuse and thicken your skin so that you could like be okay with all the other abuse that's going to follow. And I was like, okay. Like when in my naivete, I was like, yes, I will allow that to happen. I'm totally fine with someone abusing me. I'm completely fine with people yelling at me. I will do that because I want to work in TV. And now I feel like there's a generation, hopefully, that's coming that's like, no, it's not okay to be abused and it's not okay to abuse people. And I mean, it still obviously happens all the time. And it's still very prevalent, but I think now people get called on it a lot more. And so now people, I think, hopefully are becoming a lot more cognizant of how they treat people. And I'm hoping that my analogy is going to eventually become no longer relevant, but it still is relevant. And I think there's still a lot of people out there who are shitting in other people's mouths and other people who are like, yes, I will have more of your shit, please. And I will shit into the other person's mouth. And I think that like, I just want to see that cycle end. And I brought it up because in my job working for Conan was not that person.
Right.
He was not mean to me. He's never, aside from like saying I floated to this country in a basket and saying I need an industrial press to straighten my hair and telling people that I steal babies and I steal things and, like calling my dad Geppetto and saying that like he built my brother out of wood. And, this is just like the tip of the iceberg of the stuff that he said. But even though he said all these things, in the grand scheme of things, he has always treated me very nicely and with respect. And he is a very accomplished person. And I think that we can get to the point where people who are in a position of power are like comfortable with their power and realize they don't have to treat the people who work for them like garbage. And so that's basically what the gist of that entire section was. And I'm thrilled you brought it up. You guys are really just bringing up a lot of fun things I'm enjoying talking about. So thank you for doing that. This is so fun.
It's one of my favorite things in the book because, like, my job, I work as an intimacy coordinator on set. So my job, like, exists to, so I'm there to try and get actors to be comfortable in saying no. So it was very kind of prudent to what I do, that section for sure, and how crews are just kind of manipulated as well.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by intimacy coordinators. I feel like it didn't always exist, that position, right?
No. So in theatre, it's existed for a really long time, but you were called the assistant director for intimacy. It's not very catchy. And then the Me Too movement kind of kicked off, and we kind of started working in film and TV as well. So yeah, it's definitely becoming, like, I find myself on sets now where it's not just sex scenes, it's kisses, it's intimate touching, it's a parent holding a child who isn't their child, that kind of thing. It really is kind of a growing industry.
Isn't it nice though that like someone woke up one day and was like, hey, we should check to make sure everybody's okay with the things that they're doing? And it's one of those things where you're like, why was this so obvious and why did it take so long for it to happen?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts, because you wouldn't do that with a stunt. So you know you're capable of throwing yourself off a building, but you're not going to go and do it, are you?
No, not at all. I think the first time I actually heard about it was when I watched the show Normal People, the miniseries on Hulu. And, you know, it's very sexual and there's so many scenes. And they were talking about their intimacy coordinator. And I was like, what is that? And I was just, I mean, I was just like very fascinated that that position exists. And I'm happy it does. I'm sad it took so long, but you know, that's how everything's evolving.
Yeah, man. I mean, I work with a lot of really young people on set who are quite green and really want to kind of impress, and they don't want to be a diva.
Yeah.
So they're really kind of doing that people pleasing thing. And like there's part in your book where you're working at the watch shop and you're reading what are you reading? Helter Skelter.
Yes.
And that made me giggle. Like I'm kind of interested now in like what advice you would give to that young kid. Now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
To young Sona.
Young Sona, what does she want to know?
Young Sona want to know? I think that I was like a lot of kids, and it's interesting because I see this in my toddlers, where the smallest thing is the biggest problem. And I feel like as you get older, it stays, but the problems change. So like, you know, I remember breaking up with someone when I was 27 being like, well, that's it. Guess I'm never finding love and I'm going to die alone. And it's funny how I look back and be like, why did I say that? Why did I do that to myself? Like it's just, everything seems like it's the biggest problem in the world and everything seems like there's no solution and it's like life ending. And I want to, if I had to go back and tell that girl at Tick Time, at the watch store at Tick Time, I think first I'd be like, maybe Windex the cases, Sona, maybe do something. That's the first thing I would tell her. And then the second thing would be like, relax. And it's, you know, things always will get better. And I think that I would tell her, you know, one day Donnie Wahlberg is going to comment on a post that you make on Instagram. So just get there, get to that point, just do whatever you're doing because one day that's going to happen and it's going to make everything worth it. Not your kids, not your husband, not your life. Donnie Wahlberg commenting on an Instagram post. That's what you're working towards. So, yeah. I mean, I would tell her a lot of things. I'd be like, hey, guess who's going to win the Super Bowl? And bet on it. Like Back to the Future style. But I think that I don't know. I think I would just tell her to like take it easy, to relax. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I mean, it's just such an interesting thing because you want to go back and say something to your younger self. But like you have to go through those moments of angst so that you can come out of it a different person. So, you know, I mean, on one hand, I would love to tell her all this knowledge, say, hey, young Sona, like, oh my God, all this stuff's going to happen and you got to chill out. But then another part of me is like, don't say anything because how I was back then is exactly how I was supposed to be.
Right.
And then that is all part of whatever got me here. And, I'm happy where I am. So something went right back then to make me where I am now. So I don't know. I mean, I'm torn. I think that I would like to give some advice, but I think that at the same time, I would just watch her.
Yeah.
I would watch young Sona be like, you don't have to straighten bangs. Don't even have bangs. It doesn't make sense if your bangs are stick straight and the rest of your hair is so curly. That look is not going to age well. So, just don't cut bangs. You don't have the facial structure for it and you don't have the hair for it. So it would probably be something superficial like that.
Okay, so I'm an intimacy coordinator, Sona. And I obviously really related to your book. And because of all the kind of weird situations you were put in and the trials and tribulations, I guess. And I've had lots of trials and tribulations in my job role. And one of the biggest ones was, so I was doing this job in Ireland and it required lots of prosthetic as you do. And there's a big process to this, Sona. So you have to send a mold out to the actors. They have to take a mold of their genital area. And then we have them specially made. You can add size, you can take away size, you can do whatever you want. They're custom coloured, they're custom kind of painted. This great guy in Denmark paints them for me and then puts them out on his veranda to dry and then sends me lovely photos of them.
Oh,
and then sends them
wow.
back to me, in the UK. And it costs a fortune to have these things made. So I had 3 of these, and they're not like, because the scenes weren't like penetrative scenes, they were like, they were flaccid. So they're quite interesting prosthetics, And I'm going over to this job in Ireland. I put them all in this case. I'm going to take them on in carry-on. It's always difficult getting intimacy stuff onto planes because they always want to ask what's in your case when you go through X-ray. On this occasion, they made me check in the bag, and I really didn't feel comfortable checking in the bag, but I did anyway. And then I get over to Dublin, which is like a 45-minute flight. It's nothing. And I'm sat waiting at the carousel, Sona. I'm waiting. And my case of isn't there. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting.
Oh, we lost the
no case of There's no case of Sona. And it never came, sadly. Sadly for us all.
No.
I had
it's
a
lost
little
forever?
I had a little a tag on it, and it said the case was in a warehouse in Dublin. They wouldn't let me into said warehouse to try and find the case of So the next day before the shoot, I had to rush around Dublin, utilising every shop, trying to find things that might work for this scene. It's really hard to find a that looks like a flaccid. It's just impossible. So I'm looking around Dublin. I can't find anything. We have to reblock all these scenes. I find some bits. I bring together a community of shops in order to try and find these items. And they do their very best, God bless them. But yeah, we made it happen. So I'm just wondering, off the back of that story, Sona, have you had any kind of stories like this from your career? Any story that kind of has a takeaway lesson for kind of our chapter in this guide of how to make it?
No. No, I don't have a story like that, Haley. I did not lose a bag of
case of
No. I have so many questions.
You know what?
I'm really embarrassed to admit
is going to be so. The director of the show continues to keep telling this story on podcasts, and I said I will tell it one day, and here I am.
I think and I'm embarrassed to say this. My first question is, when you get the those? Do you ever go boing, 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 boing with them and just
Every
like
time.
flop them around? Or do you have to be like, this is work and this is very important and it's expensive?
I mean, you're not supposed to call it a penis or a dick. You're supposed to desexualize the language.
Oh.
But when you get to the point where you're literally wandering around Dublin at 9:00 in the morning, trying to find things that remotely match these actors, like I think we
my
can use the
God.
word.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love that story. Oh my God, I love that story so much.
When we were outlining this, I was like, Haley, it's time for the suitcase of story. Sona's coming.
I am honored that you waited till I was on this podcast to tell that story. I am honored. I am beside myself. I can't. You never got the case? You never got it?
No,
Or did it
it's
show
been
up
over
at-
a year now.
Someone had a party.
Someone had someone saw that there were just a bag of dicks and they were like, well, we're keeping this one. Oh my God. I can't. Oh, I love that story.
Flaccid. They can't use them for anything.
Yeah.
Different
Oh.
strokes, Haley.
I mean, it's funny you say this because I think that what your story is how it's like something needs to get done. A million things can go wrong behind the scenes, but at the end, something needs to happen and you need to make it happen no matter what. I feel like that has been the definition of just my career from not even my time working for Conan, but like when I worked at NBC as a page and when I was there as in the events department, we all know what the end result is supposed to be. And 1,000 things are going to go wrong, but the end result is going to happen. And the people in charge very rarely see or hear about all the crazy things that go on behind the scenes and how difficult it is. I mean, you just reminded me, this is nowhere near what you just said. But, I had a boss who wanted to give gifts to some high-level executives. And it was like, he wanted to just give these things that were engraved. And so he's like, I need them by tomorrow. Like, he just was like, I need these by tomorrow. And this was when I was working at NBC and I was like, okay. And I think they were just all these like, I think they were just these watches, but they were a specific brand of watch and they were impossible to find. And I remember staying up late, just becoming friends with all these people at these high-end gift shops and not gift shops, but like jewelry stores, basically, who like would sell this brand. And everybody was making 1,000 phone calls. And then you get the watch and then you have to get it engraved, and that's another thing. You have to send it to a specific person to get it engraved. And it all has to happen by the next day. And I remember sweating and crying and freaking out and losing sleep and just constantly stressing, how is this going to happen? And then it does. And you don't know how it did. You don't know how it happened, but it happened. You don't know how you found all those that you needed, but you found them. And it worked. And the gods just looked down on you that day. And they were like, we're going to help you with this. And they, and you amass this team that like understands what you're going through at all these shops. And you're like, I need to find these. And they're like, you look like someone who really needs this to happen. So we're now going to dedicate our day to making sure that it happens for you. And I think that's the most beautiful part about it is when these people who have nothing to do with your job, nothing to do with the industry that you're in, are suddenly like, clearly this is important. And so we're going to dedicate a portion of our day to just making sure this happens for you. And if you don't have those people, nothing gets done. And I remember it when I did talk about this in my book, but when I was working in events at NBC, John Stamos just needed a nap or he needed to rest in between these press conferences that he was doing, these interviews that he was doing. And I remember like a friend of mine or my boss was like, you know what? All the rooms are taken. So he needs to go nap in your room. And I was like, I'm on it. I'm going to go make my room the best Stamos room that ever existed for John Stamos. And so I go and my friend's doing her makeup in there. She like needed a room to do her makeup. And I was like, get the fuck out. John Stamos is coming. He needs a nap. And so I was like, we have to remove all signs of human life from this room because he needs to nap in the most serene room that it can possibly exist. And so we like, we were housekeeping. We like cleaned everything. It was spotless. And then, it was like maybe an hour of us freaking out and like just dedicating our entire existence to John Stamos's nap. And then I remember going down to the bar where I was told his publicist was, and I was like, here's the key, John Stamos is going to have the best nap of his life. I mean, I didn't say that to her, but I was handing it to her with that level of confidence, like, give this to John Stamos because it's ready. And I remember her being very like, oh, yeah. And it was like, I forgot that I had mentioned that he needed a nap, but he's okay. He doesn't need one now, and she was just like, but thank you, he doesn't need one. And it has nothing to do with John Stamos. I don't want to disparage him because I love him. And I don't want to say anything mean about him because he probably like mentioned something in passing and everybody else got activated and then they activated us. And then, but I remember taking the key and just like in my world, his nap was the most important thing. And then I realized it was not the most important thing in his world. Like, not even for him. He was just like, God, I'm tired. And then that like just set off a chain reaction of shit that just followed. And I'm yelling at my friend to get her shit out of my room because John Stamos needs a nap. And it just snowballs into this massive, massive thing. And I could also see how now, having worked for Conan, he'll mention like, I'm a little thirsty. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, we need to get him a drink. And then you bring him every drink that has ever existed. And it's like a tray. It's like, do you need soda? Do you need sparkling water? Do you need tap water? Do you need, like regular still water? And he's like, oh, no, I'm okay. I found a bottle of water. And like, I'm totally fine now. And it's just so, it's so definitive of it. I remember just recently, he went to, Argentina to shoot, and I got a call from his assistant. This was just a matter of like a couple weeks ago. And he was like, hey, do you know anything about his, international plan on his phone? I've gotten like 7 text messages about it from people. And I knew what happened was he got off the phone and his phone didn't immediately work. And he just mentioned it to someone. He was like, I'm having trouble like sending a text message. And, he probably said it in the most simple way possible and like just super chill about it. And all of a sudden, a deluge of text messages and emails come from Argentina to his assistant. And then it like comes down to me and it's like, we have to figure out what's going on with his phone. And it's like something as simple as him just restarting it, maybe, but everyone gets so activated when the person who's like at the center of everything, when something isn't working properly. So it's like, I'm embarrassed to admit how long his assistant was probably on the phone with his like cell phone carrier, like I think he was on the phone with them for like an hour trying to figure it out. And then, he figures it out and everything was working fine. And then somebody brought it up to him, to Conan, and he was like, oh yeah, no, I've been texting for the last 45 minutes. It's like everyone was panicking. Everyone was panicking. And it's just like, it's like you get to a point where you're like me, when I heard it, I was like, he just needs to probably restart his phone. Like, just have somebody restart his phone. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, everyone, he's not even freaking out about it. But it activates everyone around him. It's just really funny how sometimes there's so much stress placed on such mundane things in like film and TV where you're like, did I really worry about that much? Did I care about that much? Did that make me lose sleep? And it happened to me. It's happened to me so many times. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I love that story though, Haley. My God.
Like the whole time I was thinking, like, this is going to be a really good story. Like, I want it to continue to kind of pan out. Because when you said in your book about the letting the Playboy Playmates into Dick Wolf's luncheon and it like kind of doing stupid shit for the story, like I am so guilty of that.
Yeah.
Like that was so relatable for me. Like, and that was one of the big moments of my life where I was like, keep playing. Keep going.
Yes.
Keep throwing the shit at me.
Don't act like you weren't super chill probably. Like you were probably panicking.
You were texting me.
Yeah.
While in real time.
But once things panned out where you were like, everything's going to be fine and this is going to work out, you probably were like, this is going to be a great story. But I think like at the time, I remember just being like, John Stamos needs a nap. And you probably were like, I need those. And I need them. And you were like, my entire life and livelihood depends on these and it is nice to at some point step away and be like, this is going to be a good story. But that only happens after you realize everything's going to work out and it's going to be fine, you know? But while you're in it, you're like, my life is over. I'm just never going to work in TV again. This is fun. This is great.
I was so lucky to have like a director who was awesome as well. Like he thought it was hilarious and he has not stopped telling this story.
I can't imagine the like pit in your stomach when your suitcase didn't show up.
I know. Awful. I waited there for like an hour just in case.
Oh.
Did you cry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Wait a second. You cried?
I did.
I need to take a moment.
Like Sinead
Excuse
O'Connor.
me.
Just one.
Excuse me. I get beef all the time from this woman because I cry multiple times a day.
So do I. I love
And she's
crying.
like, Haley's like, I haven't cried in years. And now we learn the truth.
But I cried over the dildos.
Yes. I have a friend like you. Her name's Lindsay, and she never cries, and I cry constantly. I just love crying when I'm overwhelmed, especially. And at work, she used to be the executive producer, and she would send me videos she knew would make me cry. And I'd watch them, and I'd, of course, be sobbing in like 10 seconds. And I'd look over, and she's just smiling at me and laughing. And I'm like, you asshole. Like, who does that? And you know, it's just some people, yeah. But, you know, I really like when I see people who don't cry as often as I do, I'm like, how do you do that? How do you?
Yeah.
I'm such a crier,
Same.
but it feels good.
Yeah, it is. And then every once in a while.
I try and make myself cry.
Oh, geez.
What were you going to say every once in a while?
Oh, no. Every once in a while, it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I forgot that this could happen when I'm happy.
Yes. Yeah.
But.
Oh, Emily. You're such a pure
it's
soul.
Okay. It's fine. Okay. Well, look how far it's gone me. Anyway, so after you switched career choices from astronaut to television.
Yes.
I'm sure your idea of what making it in that career, because, you know, astronaut, probably moon is making it.
Yes.
What would your definition be of making it today in your current career?
That's a good question. I think that for me, I got to a point, and I talk about this, and I love that you both read my book. I mean, thanks for doing that. That's nice. But I got to a point where people would ask me, as they do, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, especially if you're in a more entry kind of level position, like an assistant, they're like, okay, well, what's next for you? Like, what's obviously this is going to lead to something else. And then when I first got my job working for Conan, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for like a couple years and then I'm going to move on to something else. And I got to a point when I was working for him where people would ask me, they would say, okay, what's next? And I'd say, I don't think anything. I think this might be it for me. I think I got to a point where I was so happy to go into work. I was content with what I was doing. I was happy with the people I worked with. I was happy with like even the amount of money I was making. I think that I was like, all my bills are paid and I'm happy. I would say in my definition, that's what I guess making it is for me is like when you just get to a point where you are happy at what you're doing, you enjoy going to work, you're content with how much money you're making, and you like what you're a part of. And that checked off all the boxes for me. And I think that came into like, I think I got that maybe 4 years into working for Conan. I started to realize I felt that. And so everything else just suddenly becomes icing on the cake when you get to that point where you realize like, I'm happy here and I like what I'm doing. And so all of a sudden, like, you know, all these other things that follow, you know, me going to Armenia with Conan was a really big moment for me. The podcast has been like indescribable. It's been just a wonderful thing to get to be a part of. And I think that all of that, because I got to a point where I felt like I had already made it, all of that was just sort of this like icing on this great cake that existed in my life. And I think that now, although I might change the answer now because I think making it is when Donnie Wahlberg comments on your Instagram
Bingo.
post. Yes, I think
Absolutely.
if you get a new kid to comment on your shit, then you've made it.
I was like, we're getting a really good answer in the purpose that we made this podcast. And then I was like, but what about the new kids?
Yes.
What about those guys?
Yeah. No, when
I had them on
any
my
new
wall.
kid.
Cherry.
Yeah, it could be any new kid.
Yeah.
It could be any of them, you know, like it could be Jonathan, it could be Danny, it could be Donnie, it could be Joey, it could be Jordan. I mean, it could be, if it's Jordan, you've really made it. I mean, I don't want to disparage Donnie because I love him so much too, but it could be any of them.
Wow.
And that's making it. That's when you've made it. And I think to go back to a serious point, I guess, I think people who have even accomplished 1,000,000 times more than I have, make tons more money, have like, you know, produced things and made things and acted in things. It's amazing how many of them will still not admit that they've made it. And the fact that I've admitted that I've made it is just stupid.
Well, they might not feel, you know, if they're chasing something. We talked to a content creator on our last episode and he said, if you're chasing fame or some like
Yes.
fleeting thing, that's not a destination. You're like, you have to repeatedly get there over and over. So they probably
Yes.
don't feel like settled in there.
But also the difference is if you do get to that point that I got it to like 4 years ago, I mean, when I
4
was
years
like 4 years in, you don't strive as much anymore. And I think people who are hyper successful and have accomplished a lot, like Conan, never get to that feeling that they've made it, because if they do, then it makes you complacent.
Mhm.
And that's what I am. I'm complacent. You know, people are like, well, what do you plan on doing? And I'm like, I'm just going to ride Conan's coattails until he dies. And then hopefully by then I'm at the age where I can retire, because I'm not striving for anything else, you know? And I think that it's a personality type. There's people who will never be content with where they're at. And those people, I don't want to disparage them because I admire those people. I think those people are the ones who like do stuff and make stuff and constantly strive to make themselves better, to do more. And I think it's just a personality thing. So some people will never feel that they've made it. And people like me will feel it so prematurely. But then it just makes it a lot more fun to do the things that you do. And so I think that's the difference, is I just have so much more fun doing things.
Yeah, it must be exhausting to be that way. It must be exhausting to be an Alexander Hamilton. You'll never be satisfied.
Your quote. I love that you
I just
cited
quoted
a
Hamilton.
historical figure, but you quoted the musical that was written about him.
Absolutely. Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda is my Lord and Master.
Oh my God. I know. I watch Encanto a lot, and I was like, how do you do this after Hamilton? Like, what the fuck? I mean, why are you that
What is
good
he?
at everything? What are you?
know.
Yeah. Oh
It's
my God, it
disgusting.
enrages me. Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
know.
he's someone who
I
won't
get
be
it.
like, I've made it.
No, exactly. Hey, so Sona. So we are writing this book. It's going to be a real book. I will ensure it. Emily's like, for God's sake, Hayley. But it will be a real book on how to make it. There will be a chapter for each person. And we need your chapter title. So what's your chapter title going to be called? How would you sum up?
Oh, good enough.
You heard it here, everyone.
Incredible.
That's good enough. That's
Yeah.
right. That's good enough. But I don't know how to get that tone across. That's good enough.
Could it be that's ... good enough?
That could be it. Yeah, that could be it. I think because that I work for somebody who is he will never settle for good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like he settles for it has to be great. And it has to be something that you're very proud of. And it has to be something that really represents who you are. And it has to be something that can show that you like worked on it. You know, that's like his mentality when he approaches things. He never half-asses anything. He never like gives less than 100%, 110%. And I'm good at 60%. I'm good at maybe 70 if I really, really push myself. But I'm like, this is good enough. This accomplishes what needs to be accomplished, and it'll be okay. It's not. I'm not going to make my mark on anything, but it's good enough. It fulfills the criteria, so that's good enough.
In our book, our first book, because hopefully this will go on for a while, we'll stop it at 60% through the book. The rest will be blank pages for journaling or coloring. And then we'll have to do a second book.
Yeah. I mean, I think that my book is also an example of like good enough because I think my favorite chapter is this chapter that I wrote that was just a filler chapter.
With the big font?
With where I like made the font bigger. I like made the margins a lot bigger. And it was like things I did in college. I was like, I just need to get to the word count.
Mm-hmm.
So however I get there, I will just do it. And is the content, am I Dostoevsky? Am I a huge contribution to the author world? No. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine. It's because it's good enough. And so I feel like I'm doing a terrible job selling my book. But yeah, there's a chapter that's just me like defining words and giving summaries of movies I've watched. And that was just to like fulfill my word count. And it's my favorite chapter because I think it's the most indicative of who I am.
I love the ending where you talk about like never sacrificing your mental health or well-being for a job. Like I think I really enjoy it.
I really appreciate it. I know it's coming off as me being like very kind of flippant about it, but I'm very proud of my book. I still can't believe I wrote one. I mean, since you guys are writing one, it's hard. It's a lot of words.
Haley's writing one.
It is. It's.
Hey,
I'm very, very proud of it.
I'm just writing what you guys say.
It's just a direct transcript.
But I think,
it's nothing exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Emily. It's like, I think this industry for people who are on the outside looking in can feel very unattainable and very unapproachable. And it can feel like it's comprised of people who look a certain way and are a certain way. And if there's even one person who maybe reads my book and is like, oh, I mean, if she can do it, I can do it, then that makes me feel good, as sort of kind of like, as much as I'm shitting on myself, I think that I'm constantly shocked that I get to do what I do. I know I've been working for him for now like 15 years, but I still can't believe I work for Conan O'Brien. I cannot believe that like I get to do some of the things that I do, and I get to be in the room with certain people that I've been in rooms with, and it really like if you look at where I come from in my childhood, it's completely unlikely that I am where I am. And so, if anything, I hope people can look at me and just be like, well, I mean, I kind of see myself in that. And so, if she can get to that point, then hopefully maybe I can do it too. And so I mean, yeah. So but I don't want to disparage my book. I am very proud of it. It's a great, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think it's great. But
I mean, as much as I want this conversation to go on for several hours, I will say on a personal note, this is like a huge full circle moment for me. I'm not going to cry, Haley.
If
but
you cry, I'll cry.
Stop it.
Oh,
No, it's okay. Go. It's fine.
no, I just oh Lord.
No, it's okay to cry.
No, okay, it's okay.
It's fine.
You inspired me to do this.
Oh,
Like it was let's get a photo of me crying. I have been having a tough time in LA the last 10 years, and finding your specific voice was like what drew me to listen to the podcast.
Oh.
Like I'm one of those people who found Conan during the pandemic, but it was because of you.
Oh my God.
And yeah.
I love hearing that.
And so
I'm gonna make that my ringtone.
I'll send you the clip. But yeah, it was because for so many years I'm like, I was the person who's like, okay, people told me I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And then I like learned about you, and I was like, you can be yourself, you can be happy, you can accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you can work with people who support you. And so like I'm just this whole, like, I got so many texts this morning that were like, good luck, we're so proud of you, because this was like this is me interviewing like one of my heroes. So
oh my God.
I'm sorry. and so
you crying is really fucking me up.
Oh, that's what my parents say all the time. But anyway,
fucks me up too.
I know, hey, poor Haley, but I just wanted to say that. Whether or not we keep this in, I don't know, but like this is like a huge check for me in terms of like, yeah, I've been in LA for 10 years, but look, I just interviewed Sona on my own.
Oh my
podcast.
God.
So
it is, it's never going to stop being a mindfuck that people, A, know who I am, and B, I can't tell you how much it means to me to hear you say that, because, it just really means a lot that like people, I don't know. I can say things like I want people to feel a certain way and read my stuff and like come out of it with something, but to actually meet somebody who has done that, I can't tell you how much it means to me. Like it really means the world, Emily. I can't even.
Yeah, this was pre-book for the record, but I mean, like, as a single lady in LA, it's like you drive with me at night when I feel scared, and when I take a walk through my super sketchy neighborhood, and
where
like,
do you live?
Hollywood.
Okay.
So I'm dodging. We talk about poop so much in this podcast, but I'm usually dodging people's poop. But anyway,
human poop, right?
Human poop, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I think the reason people, especially now, get so attached to podcasts is because we do it when we need someone talking with us. So that's been like why I have such an emotional attachment, is because like I've gotten to laugh and feel safe in moments where I wouldn't have otherwise.
Oh, that means so much. I mean, it's weird because you do the podcast in a room with like a few people, and you talk into a microphone, and you have absolutely no idea who's listening on the other side of it, and how they feel. And when I was doing my tour, I did a very small book tour when my book first came out, and also the shows that we've done at like the Wiltern here in LA and like in New York and the Garage and everything. We'll meet people, and they'll come up to us and they'll just be like, this podcast really means a lot to me, and it's the first time you're actually interacting with people and talking to people who listen to what you do and tell you how they feel about it. And doing this podcast means a lot to me. I mean, I think a lot of people say that they listen to it to get through the pandemic, and I did it to get through the pandemic. And, I remember just how much it meant to me to have recording a podcast to look forward to, just to like break up how shitty everything was. And so when I meet people who listen to it and feel, no one's talked to me about it in the sense that you've talked to me about it, but it makes it so worth it. And I can't tell you how much it means to me to be a part of something that like really that you resonate with and that you listen to. And I'm speechless. And I don't know if you guys know that I'm a national speech champion. So I am actually completely speechless, and it means the world to me, Emily. I can't tell you how much it means to me, and I'm so happy that I came here, and I really enjoyed doing this podcast. Like, you guys are just so good, and you do your research, and you're great. And
that's gonna be my ringtone.
Yeah.
And now Emily has made it.
Yes. Well, now you know what? Now you have my email too. So I mean, email. We can be friends.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We were just talking before. I mean, I'm not gonna invite you to my kids' birthdays and stuff
fine.
We're not celebrating the holidays together.
We already have boundaries.
She's a really good babysitter, though.
We can do coffee, or we can grab a lunch or something. And I would love to do that. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Well, this is their final episode of How to Make It. I've got what
Am I your Donnie Wahlberg? You can say it. Am I your Donnie Wahlberg?
Well, my Donnie Wahlberg would have to be Ben Marshall, because we need to have that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have a poster of you on my wall. No, I said no. That would be a step. No.
Oh, okay.
But I would have a poster of Ben Marshall.
No, that's what I meant. You have a poster of Ben Marshall.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do they sell them?
Can I? I feel like I can definitively say no.
Okay. Well, there's an untapped market if anyone wants that idea.
I don't want to shit on Ben Marshall, because I get it. He's a very cute guy. I think all three of them are very cute. But I can't say that. I remember going to a New Kids on the Block concert when I was an adult, and through bizarre kind of like happenings, I left the stage door right before Jordan did.
Oh.
And women broke down the barricades to touch this man. I mean, it was insane. It was honestly like I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was like almost Bieber-esque. I don't think people are doing that for Ben Marshall. That is what I want to say.
Where I come in. No, So first of all, okay, this is the last thing I'll say, because I know we have to wrap up. But when I went to that taping, and I'm gonna put this. We still have to do our intro, which is me and Haley. But
yeah,
I'm putting this in there. I bought this outfit that I couldn't afford, because I was like, okay, which we didn't end up meeting other than me like gesturing. But I was like, I steamed this outfit. Like, I was like in a white pantsuit. I was like, because I don't want to be seen. And it's funny, Ed Sheeran ended up talking about the same thing. I don't want to be seen as a fan. I want to be seen as a colleague.
Yes.
So I was like, is this an outfit of someone who would like be on my podcast and not be afraid that I was going to hit them over the head when they got, And so that's why when Conan said I looked like I was in my pajamas. He
said that.
In the video, you can see me like I didn't have pearls on, but I was like clutching my pearls. I was like, what?
What a dickhead.
Because I was like, I'm wearing this outfit so that Sona takes me seriously.
What a dick.
Do you see now what I've dealt with for the last 15 years? I mean, you guys, all my dad has done has had a mustache. That's all he's ever done. This fucking Irish piece of shit, there I said it, used to grab dinner napkins, put it under his nose, and be like, "Hey, look at me! I'm Sona's dad."
There's a picture.
Yeah,
here.
and he did that. That's one of like, I don't even know how many pictures. And I'm like, my dad likes you, and he's like, no, it's not that I don't like your dad. I love your dad. I'm jealous of his mustache. Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Love it.
But that's what he does. You know,
Anyway.
you put effort into like your outfit and then he'll just be like, God forbid you wear a red and white, black and white striped shirt. Then it's like referee jokes, like Foot Locker jokes. And you're like, I went and bought this and I liked it and I put it on and now I'm never going to wear it again because you suck. I mean, I love working for him. He's a lovely person, but I'm sorry that he went. But I love that you got to have that interaction because then I remembered who you were.
The video is like almost at 100,000 views, so I think I'm good.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, you did well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So, Haley, I'll be back.
Goodbye. Lovely to meet you, Sona. You're a legend.
Oh, Haley, I loved talking to you, and I'm going to carry that story you said with me for the rest of my life.
I'm so happy. That makes me so pleased.